Hi everybody, this is Laura Susan Johnson, and I apologize for a lot of background noise, and my throat is really sore today, so I'm going to be kind of quiet while I'm doing this review. This review is for Cleveland Abduction from 2015. And it's based on a case that when it first came out, I kind of didn't really pay attention to it. I noticed an article in People magazine about these three young women who had been locked in a house of horrors, so to speak, but the pictures of the women had them smiling and looking happy. And for some reason, I didn't take the story seriously at first. I just didn't pay any attention to it. It happened when I was still living in California, and couple years, no, maybe a year and some months after it happened, I moved to Arkansas. And when the movie came out on Lifetime, that's when I became obsessed with the story. And after I saw the movie, I watched every YouTube video I could get my hands on about these three young women, and I also read the books. And they were both, there's the book Finding Me by Michelle Knight, and there's also Hope by Gina DeJesus and Amanda Berry, and they're all really good books. Amanda Berry is the one who saved them by gathering up all the courage she could muster and poking her head out of that small space between the locked screen door and the outside world and screaming for help. But somehow Michelle Knight is the one that's touched me the most. The life that she had before she was kidnapped. She didn't have a family unit to support her, and she never had any family before and after this horrible thing happened to her. She's become one of my personal heroes, so to speak. So I mean, yes, I believe that Amanda Berry is a hero, absolutely, but I also think that all three of these women are heroes because they survived. They were determined to get out of this alive, even though I'm sure on some days it seemed very hopeless, especially on days when Michelle Knight was close to death because that fiend that kept them captive for over a decade purposefully fed her hot dogs smothered in mustard, which she is deathly allergic to. And I'm wearing yellow not because mustard, but because yellow, I think, was the color of some balloons that were released on a day of remembrance. This case, they call it an unprecedented case because Ariel Castro did everything but kill them. You know, for some reason he quit kidnapping after after he took 3 women, he quit. You know, there were allusions to him having killed a couple of people. He threatened Michelle, saying, you know, if you don't behave yourself, you're going to end up like the one I killed. And of course, the aggravated murder charges against him were because he had basically murdered 5 children she could have had, which is another reason I feel for her most of all, because he allowed Amanda Berry to carry a baby to term, and he did not allow Michelle to keep any of her pregnancies going. And she truly is an inspiration. It's moments like those, or people like her, who inspire me to hold on to what I was raised with, even though a lot of the people who raised me with religion hurt me a lot. But Michelle Knight doesn't strike me as a preachy person, or a, you know, somebody who goes up to you and say, you know, you need to believe in God, or, you know, think bad things will happen to you. She forgave the guy, and I don't know if I could be that strong. She's a very strong person to forgive like that. But Ariel Castro was, you know, he had all the earmarks and all the red flags of a serial killer, and yet he didn't kill them. He just kept them in chains like slaves, and beat them, raped them, abused them, played mind games with them, turned them against each other at times. To this day, there's, you know, that mystery about why the 3 of them, you know, eventually parted ways. Gina De Jesus is the one who will always be known as the quiet one, and that's her business. She was probably so traumatized that talking about it is just too much, and that's, people cope in different ways, you know. Which makes me really angry when there's this one video of a bunch of commentators from CNN who sat around and drew conclusions, or jumped to, they just had these opinions that were so distasteful and so just in poor taste. They were just talking about the 3 of them and giving them roles, you know, when they weren't even there. They weren't there in that house with Ariel Castro. These were just info babes sitting around. Well, Gina De Jesus was like the sex object, and Michelle Knight was the punching bag, and Amanda Berry was the wife. I mean, somebody ought to tell CNN, please take down that video. CNN, of all people, having a bunch of people sitting there analyzing something they weren't even there to witness. How dare they call an innocent 14-year-old girl who was enslaved for 9 years and traumatized and beaten and raped. How dare they call her the sex object? the movie is very well acted. It stars Raymond Cruz. The only other thing I've seen him in was Alien Resurrection. And Pennsatucky from Orange is the New Black. What is her name? Taryn Manning. She does a great job as Michelle Knight. And Pam Grier plays a really kindly nurse at the hospital that they're taken to at the end of their ordeal. It's a small role, but she does a really good job. And Joe Morton, who has been in Speed, Terminator 2, great actor. He plays an FBI agent who tries to help Michelle locate the son that she ended up losing because of this monster who abducted her. And trying to get back to what I was saying about the case being an unprecedented type of case. Usually in cases of pedophilia, and Ariel Castro was a pedophile. He thought, Michelle Knight was the first one he kidnapped that we know of. He thought she was a 13-year-old prostitute just walking around lost in Cleveland. She was actually on her way to a court date to continue the fight for custody of her son, who was taken from her because of one of her stupid mother's drunken, abusive boyfriends throwing him at a coffee table or something and injuring his legs. If this girl didn't have bad luck, she'd not have any luck at all. So he kidnaps her. He tortures her by stringing her up with electrical cord and leaving her there. She described the real Michelle Knight described it to Dr. Phil, and it was just hideous. But she ended up with nerve damage to her hands and feet. So yeah, he injured her terribly when he did that to her. And he thought she was 13 years old. She's a very small person. I'm 5'3", and this girl is probably less than 5 feet tall, maybe 4'10", 4'11". This girl is this woman. She's a woman, not a girl. She's a towering pillar of strength compared to the coward Ariel Castro, because she survived all of the hideous beatings and the horrible verbal and emotional abuse that he heaped on her for 11 years. He kept her the longest. Every year he would pick a new girl to kidnap and hold prisoner inside his home. The first time it was Michelle, a tiny 4-foot whatever little girl, little young lady. She was 21 when he got her, and he thought she was 13 because she's so little. And then he got Amanda Berry when she was trying to get a ride home from her job at Burger King. And then the year after that, he grabs one of his own friend's daughters, Gina De Jesus. Talk about what a blatant hateful, evil. He's like laughing at Gina, saying, your parents are thinking I'm there, like at the candlelight vigils, you know. I'm passing out flyers hoping to find you and everything, and they don't even know I've got you, and just mocking her. And the only thing the man didn't do was kill him physically. I don't understand why he didn't kill him physically, because that's what most of these kinds of pedophile monsters do. I mean, how did he think it was going to end? It was going to end one way or another. Maybe if Amanda hadn't have done what she did, he'd have killed him within the next several weeks. But see, he had a daughter with Amanda. Maybe he was planning on killing Gina and Michelle. So, this is more a commentary, I guess, about the case rather than a movie review, but I highly recommend the movie. It's 10 out of 10 stars. It's a Lifetime movie. But again, Lifetime movies are not always, you know, those crappy, soapy, especially not those Christmas movies about women looking for a good-looking guy at Christmas to go to a party with or anything. So, by all means, if you don't know much about this case, you should, if you're into like true crime or anything, you should watch this movie, Cleveland Abduction. It's not nearly as heinous as the real. I don't think it gives you as many gory details as what really happened in there. They only show one instance of miscarriage. But Raymond Cruz really does capture the evil and the bullying. That's too soft a word. He does a great job bringing that monster to life. He got 1,000 years plus life and took the easy way out by hanging himself. I don't know why all these prisoners seem to have access to bed sheets or razors or whatever they can to take the easy way out. I don't understand it. Sometimes I wonder if the prison guards help them, or if the prison guards hate them so much that they kill them. But I think the guys should have been allowed to, if they did do it, you know, if the prison guards did help him take the easy way out, they didn't do anybody any favors. The man should have had 1,000 years to think about the misery he caused. He didn't even care about his own family. His 2 brothers were arrested right along with him, and they had to suffer that humiliation. I feel for them too. His family had nothing to do with him being a monster. His mother probably did not raise him to be a monster. He's got 2 brothers at least. He's got daughters. He beat the shit out of his ex-wife until she died of a brain tumor because he hit her in the head so many times. It's just, some people are just really mean. And the death penalty should have been applied to him, but I don't think the Ohio does have the death penalty. It's just they commute it a lot. Not commute it, but sorry, I have a piece of skin here. Ohio, I've noticed the state of Ohio postpones death penalty dates quite a bit. They move them up. I'm not sure why. Cleveland is one of the most violent cities in the United States, and the governor, I've noticed it on their roster for death penalty dates, you know, execution dates. They do move. They either postpone them or they stay them for a while or whatever. And I don't know what kind of deals are being made for those things to be put in place like that. But anyway, I don't know if I could really call this a movie review, but I'm just gonna go ahead and post this on my Period Pieces channel. And boy, that piece of skin on my lip is driving me crazy. Anyway, it's on DVD now too, but I got my copy of Cleveland Abduction off of Amazon Video, so I highly recommend it. Like I said, 10 out of 10 stars.